Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Debz Cooper, Global Stressologist here. I think it's working. I just love these little things that happen. Welcome for today's video topic of why do we need to acknowledge people. So first, before I kick off, I would love to know if you are here on a replay or if you're here watching me live. And if you have any comments, just throw them in the thing and I will come back to you live if I can, clearly if you're here, and if not, I'll respond later. So, Debz Cooper, Global Stressologist, currently based in New Zealand due to the funny situation of traveling right now, and here to talk about why do we need to acknowledge people. But before I really kick into it, there's just something I would really love to say. And today in New Zealand, we have a thing called Gumboot Friday. And Gumboot Friday is, we talk about this is created from Mike King, and this is where we actually, in New Zealand, they say that depression is like walking through mud every day. So they're saying put yourself through those shoes and wear gumboots for a full day and just see how it feels like walking through mud. So today I'm here to acknowledge, firstly, is Gumboot Friday Day. So you know what I'm going to show you, don't you? Because I've got these things on. These are my gumboots. My sexy legs. So these are my gumboots. These are part of my gumboot live. Let's try and show the other one to show that I've definitely got two on. Yep, and for all those new listeners, no, I've never even shown you from here down. Anyway, so that's Gumboot Friday. So today I'm wearing gumboots, and I don't even wear shoes inside the house. So it's very, very different for me to be wearing gumboots, let alone shoes. So I'll drop the link in there if you want to donate to anybody, but I quite like the analogy of that it's like walking through mud every day, and some days are better than others, and you walk through more mud or less mud. So thank you, Mike King, for creating that. Now I've shown you my gumboots. So what I'm finding, how this topic came about, is what I'm finding more and more is there's a lot more negative reviews out there, a lot more negative mindsets, and negativity more around us rather than the gratitude state. So I thought it was a perfect time to bring this to people's attention. Now, you can agree with me or disagree with me about the negative people, but personally, I know for myself, if I find someone who's starting to get negative around me, I just start putting up my barriers. I don't want to be part of that issue. If I'm in a social situation, I really get right out of it unless I feel they're asking for help. In a business situation, for my business being a global stressologist, I'm all for someone throwing negativity at me so I can help them with their mindset. So it just depends on where you are in the situation around you, whether you want to say something or not. Some people don't even know that they're being negative. Now, there's nothing wrong with being negative all the time, but all the time can be incredibly draining for a lot of people around. So when I say, why do we need to acknowledge people? When someone acknowledges you, how does that feel? So when someone acknowledges you, what actually happens to you? And someone says something and you're just like, oh, you have a different sense of who you are that day, and you can bounce a little bit differently. There's a lot of people, there's a social media thing that I follow in Australia, and I find there's a lot of forgetting that queens support queens. They say it, adjust someone's crown. If you're a queen and you adjust someone's crown, that's what it's all about. But there's still a lot of people who take people down and tear people down. So I really want to acknowledge that queens support queens. Kings support kings. Queens support kings. And kings support queens. Now, you may not agree with how it's done, but that's what we're aiming for in life, is that we actually all support each other rather than tear them down, because we don't actually need to tear people down. So why do you feel you need to tear people down? Is there something that's happened to you or challenged you or upset you or reminded you about something that you feel it's okay and acceptable to tear someone down publicly or not? So I'd love to pick your brain about that. Feel free to to send me a message and I can chat to you and find out what's really going on, because there's something a lot bigger. But when we tear people down, it actually not only takes a little bit away from them, it also takes a little bit away from us. So if you're going to do it, there's an art to tearing people down. There's a way to actually get resolution in things, which I'm going to talk about in another Facebook Live. But there is a way of actually acknowledging something in a way that you're going to have a win-win. But when I talk about acknowledging people, I'm not saying just acknowledge the positive. I'm saying acknowledge the negative. Yes, definitely acknowledge the negative just as much as the positive. But when we've got the negative, ensure that you've done all the things you can before, if you're going to blast it on social media or put a review up or something, ensure that you've done everything 101% before it gets it to that point. I'm not talking about threats, definitely no threats, but when someone says, if you don't do this, I'm going to put it on social media. Look, you can't actually stop them from doing anything, whatever they do. But the key is to actually say, let's resolve this. I know when I worked for a department store many, many, many years ago, in fact, it was my second job ever, so I was under 20, and people would come in and they'd moan about something and this, and this, and I'd say, so what would you like me to do to resolve that? Because that was what I knew. And they go, what do you mean? I go, so what action do you want me to resolve this with? They go, but I want you to fix it. Okay, so how? Because my idea of fixing could be different to their idea of fixing, and we don't want to escalate the thunderstorm again. So that's what I would ask them. And 99% of those people go, well, I don't know. I just want you to fix it. And so that would be a great thing for me to go, okay, well, how about we do this? Would this work? Because I would have my own ideas. Now, when you complain, you've got to get clear about what you actually want. So set your expectations of what you're looking for, but be prepared to negotiate. And I'm not talking about negotiate money or if you do this, I'm going to give you this. And I'm not talking about that sort of stuff. I'm talking about be negotiate and go, maybe the time frames, maybe there's something going on their end. And no matter what the big business is, we all need a break every so often. So sometimes you could be that one that's going to break them or snap them. And that's not what it's about. So just check in and see what your expectations are. If you would like to be on the other end of you, put yourself in their shoes. Because if you're not going to do that, you're not going to understand who they are as a person. So just remember that. The other thing is, would like to talk about influencers. And influencers is an interesting one because I find they can do it for money, they can do it for fame, or they can do it for whatever reason they've got. So I personally would like to do something and say thank you to people or promote people or acknowledge people because they've given me service and value, and I love it. And if I don't get that, if you don't get that and you're doing it for fame or you're doing it for money or something, people can feel that because this is your energy that you're putting out there. So the other day I had a loan car from a company up here, and I had a loan car from a company, and it was an amazing car. It was a great wee car. So I put it on my social media. Now I've had 2 people inquire, it's up for sale. I've had 2 people inquire about that. So I said to them, oh, look, I had a couple of people inquire, I'll send them your way. And they're like, oh, well, you can give you some money. And I'm like, I don't need, well, actually, I haven't told them that. I don't need the money. That's not what it's about. It's actually would be, this is a great wee car. If any of my friends or followers or anything would use it, that's a bonus for me. So you do things to acknowledge people because it is of value to you. Are you getting this? Are you seeing the picture? So in New Zealand, we don't tip. That's TIP that often. So I know when I go overseas, in America, it's very big to tip in restaurants. But we also tip hairdressers and beauticians. And so there's nothing wrong with tipping. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging them, telling them, oh my gosh, I love what you've done today with my hair. My hairdresser this morning. I love what you've done with my nails, or whatever it is. I love what you've done with cleaning my car. Thank you so much. Or that warrant, or whatever it is. I love that part of it. So ensure that you can tip verbally, or you can tip financially, or whatever it is, or you can talk about them and refer them on to another one, because that's just another way of acknowledging people. to get people back to that. So there's a thing called, that my dear friend Kate reminded me of. When you receive a compliment, or a gift, or you receive something, accept it in the manner it was given. So when I talk about that, people may go, oh my gosh, I love that top you're wearing. And you go, oh, this old ratty thing, I've had this for years. No, that's not how you're accepting it in the manner it was given. So if someone goes, oh my gosh, I love that. I love what you did with my daughter the other day. And you're like, oh, that's really easy. I could fix that. That was like a 2-minute thing is what you're thinking, or a 30-second thing. You accept it in the manner it was given. They are so grateful to you for doing what you did, or having a top on, whatever that's made them think about something differently, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, you accept that compliment or that acknowledgement in the manner it was given. So the other key thing here is you don't have to thank them back. You don't have to thank them back and say, oh, this old top, gosh, thanks very much. But look at the top you're wearing. You don't have to thank them back because of that. You only thank them back for that top if you actually thought it was an amazing top. But be aware that people, when you thank one and there's a thank back, sometimes it doesn't feel right. So if someone says, thank you for doing this, accept it the way it's been given, and acknowledge them for that. Thank you so much. I love what I do. Or thank you so much. I love this color. Or thank you so much. It is very simple. And you're not diminishing their thank you. You're not diminishing whatever they've said or done. You're just taking it in. So it's really important to acknowledge people. And I've talked pretty fast here. Are you getting the picture now? So when I think about this, I'm just going to do a big blurb on thank yous. I'm going to do a big blurb on thank yous right now. Oh, John, I haven't seen you in ages. Yes, so true. It robs them of their joy of complimenting you. Absolutely. Welcome, John. So, gratitude. This morning I spoke to my cleaners. They came and they cleaned the house, and they're just two amazing young women. And well, I say young because they're younger than me, but they're not young. And yes, I just did say that about them if they do happen to watch. But I was grateful to them, and I thanked them for doing what they do. And they said, you know what, we got our first thank you the other day, and we haven't had that for a long time. I'm like, what? Don't people thank you? She said, apart from you, Deborah, every week you thank us, and Ben, the dog, thanks her and her sister. But people don't acknowledge that stuff. Like, come on, thank them for doing what they do. You know, I've got a window cleaner. It's actually a busy day here around the home. I've got a window cleaner, and I've already gone out and I've thanked him. And, you know, I was home and he just started without me being here. That's great. I thanked the lady at the supermarket the other day. She was so nice when I couldn't find what I was looking for, and I felt like I was getting frazzled and I was on a time frame. I thanked her. You know, the delivery man last night who delivered food to me. You know, all these little things. My hairdresser this morning, she's such a delight that I go to every Friday morning. Now, look, these may be little things, they may be superficial things, they may be whatever, but it makes me feel great complimenting them and acknowledging them and thanking them. You know, my family, oh gosh, I could talk about all my family and what I could thank them for. I'm not here to thank them for everything they do. You know, just my little text message to my mum this morning, and my sister and my daughter. Like, that was really great just to get that out. You know, my clients who trust me. I'm acknowledging them because they play a large role in my life. You know, my ex-clients who I have trust in them now. You know, my future clients, I have trust that you know where I am when you're ready. You know, my business partners, my colleagues, my current colleagues, my ex-colleagues, you know, the power in the house, the utilities people who have all that, you know, the social media, the internet, the things that keep me connected to what's important to me. To those who have given me advice over the years. Now, I may not have taken that advice. You know who you are. There's times I've listened to you and times I haven't. But to those people, to the school teachers, you know, all those people, to my mentors who have taught me so much. Look, I can list every single person if you really would like me to. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on here and turning up on my videos and getting a little bit of insight, whether you only get a little percent or a large percent. Thank you. So it's really important to acknowledge people. And the last person who I'm going to acknowledge is the most important person in the whole wide world. Do you know who that is? That person is me. I would like to acknowledge me for running these videos, for doing my business, for sharing the wisdom that I have with people, for giving in a way that I give. But thank you to me for doing what I do and don't doing what I do. So today is about acknowledging people. It's also about Gumboot Day. Don't think I'm just wearing one. Gumboot Day, acknowledging people, living a life in their shoes. So that's me over and out. I would like to thank you for joining me. Thank you for acknowledging this world. I would love to know who you're going to acknowledge and how did that go today. Sending much love to everybody, and I will see you, Debz Cooper, Global Stressologist. I will see you next week. Yes, I will.